Good afternoon and welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. It's Flag Day, June 14th. It's the 165th day of the year. We only have 200 days left, so make each one of them count. I'm Hannibal Johnson, your President-elect. President John and President-elect Mike are experiencing some good old Southern hospitality in Atlanta, the site of the Rotary International Conference. It's great to be once again among a bunch of good people who are doing great things here and across the world. We're so glad you're here today. If you're visiting, welcome. Check us out, and then let us check you in. We're always seeking out dynamic, community-minded individuals to share our mantra of service above self. Today's distinguished guest speaker has some fascinating experiences to share with us, but first, let's handle some club business. Let's get started with our invocation led by Past President Muzan Biggs and the pledge led by Past President Corey Nickerson, followed by our song, Stars and Stripes Forever, and then our visitor introductions, which will be led by Rotarian and drummer extraordinaire, John Delavadova.
Well, I knew, of course, that today is Flag Day, and I looked up one of my favorite hymns in our church. The first two verses were written by a fellow named Lloyd Stone in the throes of the Great Depression in 1934. And 5 years later, the Methodist denomination was coming up with a new hymn book, and our first woman United Methodist professor, Dr. Georgia Harkness, was asked if she would write a third verse so that this could become a hymn. It was added then to the tune of John Sibelius' Finlandia. It's one of my favorites. I'm going to use their words in our prayer. This is my song, O God of all the nations, a song of peace for lands afar and mine. This is my home, the country where my heart is. Here are my hopes, my dreams, my holy shrine. But other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the ocean, and sunlight beams on cloverleaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, thou God of all the nations, a song of peace for their land and for mine. This is my prayer, O God of all earth's kingdoms. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. May you be lifted up till all shall serve you, and hearts united learn to live as one. O hear my prayer, thou God of all the nations. Myself I give you, let your will be done. Amen.
We're doing things slightly different, so let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, and then you may take a seat. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I've been to too many high school graduations in the last month. I just put the comma in one nation under God. As Hannibal said, today is Flag Day in the United States. Although it's not a federal holiday, it is celebrated in many parts of the country with parades and festivities. The first official national flag, known as the Stars and Stripes, was approved by the Continental Congress on June 14, 1777. The blue canton contained 13 stars, along with 13 red and white stripes representing the original 13 colonies, but the layout varied. After Vermont and Kentucky were admitted to the Union in 1791 and 92, 2 more stars and 2 more stripes were added in 1795. This 15-star, 15-stripe flag was the Star-Spangled Banner that inspired Francis Scott Key to write the poem that later became the U.S. national anthem. In 1818, after 5 more states had gained admittance to the Union, Congress passed legislation fixing the number of stripes at 13 and requiring that the number of stars equal the number of states. The last new star was added in our lifetime, some of our lifetimes, on July 4th, 1960, after Hawaii became a state. In addition to being Flag Day, today would also have been our own Jim Sade's 102nd birthday. Jimmy was known for his musical portrayals as bandmaster John Philip Sousa and his performances of Sousa's most recognized march, The Stars and Stripes Forever. Former Rotarian Jack Tubb, who had been one of Jimmy's Guthrie High School band students, told me, "Jimmy made us practice and practice and practice for 4 years before he allowed us to present Stars and Stripes in public." Now, we all know the term, "it would take an act of Congress," which has become a euphemism for "it's almost impossible." Rotarian Jim Sade led the effort that culminated in a 1987 act of Congress designating the Stars and Stripes Forever as America's national march. In honor of Flag Day and as a birthday tribute to past club president Jim Sade, please enjoy this rendition performed by the United States Army Band and Chorus.
Welcome, Rotarians and your guests, to 2500 District 6110. We used to be 145, so it took me a while to learn that. I'm going to introduce the Rotarians with their guests, and when I do, I'll ask you to stand and we'll hold our applause till the end. So I've got a special guest. Trish Kirkstra has Nick Whalen, son of Alan Whalen, who's a Rotex di Como, Italy, a Rotary Exchange student from 2012 and 13. We used to see his Skypes up on the screen, so everybody remembers him. He just graduated from Manhattan College, magna cum laude. Congratulations. He majored in finance and economics, and he has a brand new job starting Monday, not in Tulsa, darn it, New Jersey. And he's going to be with an insurance firm, so let's give him a round of applause. My bad. Jeff Hassel has Claire Sean Urker. Okay. And Luann Billinger has Juliana Ziwalk. Hi. And Tiffany Egdorf has a bunch of guests today. Joel Hasser with BDK. Denise Adams with One Oak. Shoren Wassner with Caldwell Banker Select. Keith Madden with City of Tulsa. Russ Kirkpatrick with Kirkpatrick Kinslow Productions. And Mary Ann Emmons and Nicole Eddy with the Lindsay House. Glad you all are here. You all come back now. You hear?
Now please join me in recognizing and thanking this week's Rotary sponsors: Roger Dunham, Accent Realty; Kevin Moody, Moody Jewelry; Terry Lawson, Vision Source; Bill and John Rothrock, Yale Cleaners. Here at the Rotary Club of Tulsa, we're all about community service, but in our jobs, our careers, and our professions, we mean business. Do business with your fellow Rotarians, won't you? In addition to today's sponsors, please join me in thanking all of our volunteers whose committed service makes our meetings run smoothly week after week. Let's give them a hand. Now it's my pleasure to welcome to the podium Rotarian Michelle Place, Executive Director of the Tulsa Historical Society and Museum, who will introduce our newest member, Lane Dolly. While they're making their way to the stage, please join me in thanking Rotarian John DeBar for conducting today's new member orientation.
Well, good afternoon. It is my great pleasure to bring to you one of my newest, bestest friends in Tulsa, Lane Dolly. Lane and I happened to meet through the DAR, so I think it's fortuitous that you're coming into Rotary today on Flag Day, since such a major part of what we do in DAR is about patriotism. She might be a bit familiar to you, as she used to visit with her uncle, the late Dr. Hal Calhoun, who was a member of this. So this is his niece. She comes a circuitous route out of Beaver, Oklahoma. Her father was a physician, but she also has great experience in ranching. And one of the things that I learned about Lane recently is, if you remember the fires that so devastated western Oklahoma, and Lane's ranch was a part of that. And I heard wonderful stories about the community far and wide really stepping up and bringing loads of hay and fencing, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a city girl. I don't know about this cattle ranching business. But what I also learned was, I just didn't think about it, cattlemen only eat beef. And so one of Lane's tasks was to feed all of those people who were coming to help at their ranch, and she would feed anywhere from 2 to 24 people per day. She never knew how many, and of course, you have to figure out how to cook beef in all of those ways. But let me tell you, that's a great feat. I told her that I would come next time and help her cook. But Lane is a graduate of the University of Oklahoma, and she also holds a master's degree in public policy. She's put her patriotism to work in a number of different ways, working in Washington, D.C. for the Agricultural Department, also for the Republican National Committee. She's also worked at the White House. But she is a writer. She is a great storyteller. And so while researching her genealogy, she discovered these wonderful stories from her family that she's now turned into, what do we call this, a growing series for historical novels based on her family. So will you please welcome with me Lane Dolly to the Rotary Club of Tulsa. Your pen.
Great. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Tulsa, Lane. Just a few announcements. Steak Day reservation cards, which look like this, are on your tables. If you plan to bring a guest on June 28th, let us know so that we can ensure that we have food for everyone. Reservations can be made online through the DACDB calendar. The deadline for reservations is June 21st. And again, sign-up cards are on your table. Today's meetings include the 2017-2018 Programs Committee in room 233. And then next week, June 21st, you'll want to arrive early for the 2017-2018 Committee Fair. Committee chairs will have tables in Thomas Halls before and after the meeting. Our Rotarian today is Mandy Winton. Born and raised in Norman, Mandy moved to Tulsa 6 years ago to begin a new adventure. After serving for 3 years at the State Department of Education under Superintendents Sandy Garrett and Janet Barisi, Mandy worked in the continuing education and lifelong learning at the University of Tulsa. After a year at TU, she was lured back into the political world, joining the Taylor for Tulsa campaign. Following that campaign, she joined the staff of the Girl Scouts of Eastern Oklahoma, recruiting new members and volunteers to the 105-year-old organization. In 2014, Mandy began volunteering with the New Leadership Roundtable, a young professionals program of the Oklahoma Center for Community and Justice, which is an organization committed to achieving respect and understanding for all people. Mandy became chair of the NLR in 2015, and she helped lead the reimagining of the group that is now known as the Inclusive Leadership Council. As chair, Mandy served as a member of the board of directors and the executive committee of OCCJ. In November of 2016, Jamie Cox, CEO of OCCJ and a fellow Rotarian, asked Mandy to join the OCCJ staff as director of fund development, an invitation Mandy gladly accepted. She now oversees all fundraising efforts as well as the OCCJ Oklahoma City expansion and communications. Mandy currently serves as the president of the League of Women Voters of Metropolitan Tulsa and the Voter Services Chair for the League of Women Voters of Oklahoma. In her spare time, she spends a lot of time at Kane's Ballroom and at the BOK soaking up live music. She's also a diehard OU Sooner fan and an OKC Thunder fan. Fellow Rotarians, help me welcome Mandy Winton.
It's always hard hearing somebody talk about you like that, so thank you very much, Hannibal. As I was thinking about the responsibilities of being the Rotarian of the day and introducing our speaker, one of my favorite quotes came to mind. Madeleine Albright once said, "There's a special place for women who don't help other women." And Mimi Tarrasch is helping women. Did you know that the cost to send a woman to prison for 1 year is about the same as it costs for 1 year in Women in Recovery? Did you know that Oklahoma incarcerates more women per capita than any other place in the world? According to numbers from 2016, the Department of Corrections recidivism rate was about 13%. For Women in Recovery, that number is under 3%. In one article, Mimi said that 99% of the women in the program have experienced a significant trauma in their life. Traumas including domestic violence, rape, sexual assault, and addiction. Women in Recovery provide services for everything from substance abuse and mental health to employment training and family therapy. Women in Recovery works, and it does so because of the leadership of Mimi Tarrasch. She is the Executive Senior Director of Women in Recovery, an innovative program operated by Family and Children Services that provides an alternative to incarceration for nonviolent female offenders with addictions and co-occurring trauma and mental health disorders. Tarrasch is a longtime family and child advocate and has spent over 35 years working in the nonprofit sector. Now, as the president of the League of Women Voters, I must also include that Mimi was one of our honorees at this year's Madam President, a night to honor Tulsa women who could be president. I would definitely vote for Mimi for president. And I will say I have had the personal honor of volunteering in my capacity with the League at Women in Recovery They called and needed someone for an hour to come work with a group of women who were about to graduate and wanted to learn about getting registered to vote and how to vote. And I spent about 3 hours there that day, and it was so fulfilling, being able to have conversations with women who are getting ready to enter a new stage in life and want to make sure they have all of the skills, including those important skills of citizenship. So, Rotary, please welcome to the stage Miss Mimi Tarrasch.
Okay, so I'm going to be a little redundant, but thank you for the introduction, Mandy. And redundancy is not a bad thing, by the way, because there are some scientists who think that we need to hear things 14 times before we really hear it. So I want to tell you, where is Dr. Biggs? See? Your eyesight is incredible. You were reading the littlest words that I've ever seen, and you don't even wear glasses. That was amazing to me. Okay, so I am amongst friends, and so it's going to make today's presentation really easy and comfortable for me. There's many people out there that know what we do, that support what we do, pretty much love what we do, and I unconditionally love them. So I'm going to have to do just a couple of shout-outs, if you will. So as you hear a little bit about our program, we can't do what we do without many, many partners. And in the world of research and literature, when you're dealing with a criminal justice population, there is a lot in the research that denotes the importance of supervision and treatment and how that merges together very successfully. So under Commissioner Keith's reign, we have worked since we started this program with Tulsa County Court Services, and I literally to this day cannot do my work without them. Despite the fights, we always come back at the end and kind of love on each other, which is great. So Commissioner Keith, thank you. I also want to there's a physician in the room we've done some good work with, and thank you, Norm Simon. And I also have to say that, which you'll learn a little bit more, another really critical partner that we have in the work we do is with the Lindsay House. And so I'm really glad, the way Hannibal said, and Tiffany brought I think a buttload or something of people with her. So safe housing is really, really critical. There's not enough housing in our community for the work that we do. And my hats are always off to Tiffany and her board president, Russ. So thank you for the ongoing work that you do. And I know that there's others. We also have a mentor in the house, and if you're interested in learning how you can participate in our mentor program that was established through Tulsa Area United's Way Women's Leadership Council, I know Catherine or I would be happy to entertain some of those questions. Okay, so in my work, as Mandy pointed out, I've been in the field a long time. So I've been at Family and Children's for over 20 years, and I've been in the nonprofit world for a little over 35 years, right? And so during that time, I probably do many of the same things that you do and that people in this room probably do. I follow all those best practices. I stay within a budget. I negotiate agreements all the time. I collaborate. I strategize programs. I strategically manage people. I analyze data. I collect data, and I collect more data, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But in my work, probably over the last 8 years, I have come to appreciate the story and the power of the story. So I'm so happy with your new Rotarian, Miss Dolly. So we share that as in common as well. So what I've learned about the story is, for me, it kind of has become this philosophical heartbeat, because I think that stories really inspire people to act. They inspire people to behave, and really create these opportunities to enrich people's lives around them. I also think that storytelling sparks emotion, and it provides us with a powerful tool to help make change happen. So every story has a core message, right? But it can also be interpreted in a myriad of ways depending on the perception through which it's heard, right? Make sense? An occasional head nod gets me a long way. So I want to take Jennifer, for instance, okay? Jennifer's story. So you might have seen Jennifer's face on the front of the newspaper several years ago because she was arrested for selling methamphetamine. She also was arrested for an assault and battery on an officer. She also had a child endangerment charge. So it's pretty easy to feel rage when you look at that picture. You feel rage about the harm that could come to the community. You imagine what her children might have had to endure with that. And so it probably doesn't surprise anybody in here that the majority of those readers probably would have a void of sympathy in looking at that picture or understanding that story. This is clearly a woman who is a drug addict, and she is facing prison, okay? So allow me to tell you Jennifer's story a little bit differently, because the story is always based on where the story starts, right? So the story I know about Jennifer is that at the age of 4, her job, no 4-year-old should have a job, her job was to hold a tourniquet for her mother, so her mother could shoot up heroin. She watched her mother die of an overdose, and unfortunately, her protector was then gone, and her stepfather proceeded to sexually and physically abuse Jennifer for the next 12 years. Now, I want to tell you, like almost every woman that comes into this program, the resilience is magnificent. Somehow she was able to help raise her brother and sister. She got food on the table. She got them to school. And somehow she also managed to get through high school herself, admittingly with a lot of drugs, sex, and rock and roll, but she got through high school incredibly bright. Unfortunately, it was her junior year in high school that her boyfriend introduced her to methamphetamine, and that was her spiral into her addiction. So I met Jennifer many years later. I met her when she was in her oranges, sitting in county jail. She was facing 10 years on the endeavoring to manufacture methamphetamine charge, and both of her children were in DHS custody. So I'm going to make some assumptions that maybe when somebody's arrested, the good Rotarians in this room might not know what that process looks like. So when Jennifer was arrested, or when any woman is arrested, it could be in a variety of places. It could be in her home, it could be in a park, it could be in her car, it could be on the streets, it could be in a hotel, it could be at a domestic violence shelter or a housing shelter. She could be under the influence of drugs and or alcohol. She could be suffering from unmanaged mental health symptoms. She might have medical needs. She could be pregnant. Maybe her children are with her. Maybe she's dressed appropriately, and maybe she's not dressed appropriately, right? But I assure you that that event is devastating to that woman. It would be for any of us in here, right? So then she's escorted to David L. Moss Correctional Center. And just like the movies, she's entitled to those phone calls. So that phone call might be to someone saying, "Can you pick my child up from school today?" That phone call could be, "Could you pick up my children and keep them until I'm able to get released from this place, if I'm able to?" It could be, if she has enough money, that she is reaching out to an attorney, but it could also be, could she reach out to a friend and ask for a $100 bond, assuming that's the lowest bond? And I can tell you in her case and many, having that person having $100 is probably highly unlikely. So following that formal booking process, she then meets with the nurse at the jail, and she'll have a mental health screening, she'll have a substance abuse screening, she'll have a physical, and then she'll be given what we call the jail scrubs, her shoes and her clothing. as the Sheriff's Department then classifies where it is, where she's going to be placed within inside of that jail. So I can tell you, with every arrest that happens in our community and in other communities, there are collateral consequences. And sometimes we don't see those collateral consequences in the beginning. Maybe we don't see them actually for years. But we also know that treatment is a far better option than incarceration. And Tulsa is really quite fortunate to have many, many great diversion programs. So without testing you to see if you know them, I'm going to tell you there's drug court, and there's veterans court, and there's mental health court, and there's community sentencing. There is really a good host of diversion opportunities in our community. So there's also women that don't meet the criteria to get into some of those programs. And so fortunately, in 2009, they can now be considered for the Women in Recovery program. And we are a very intensive and comprehensive program that was started through a partnership through Family and Children's Services and the George Kaiser Family Foundation. So, a couple of facts that you might not know. Though females are probably the smallest percentage between the two genders in our world, women are the fastest growing prison population. And you know, and Mandy reminded us, that for more than 20 years, Oklahoma has had the highest rate. And I know you know this, you're well informed. You know that we're twice the national average. We have one of the highest in the world, and sometimes, just so I can be dramatic, I think we're the highest on the planet, okay? 65% of those women, by the way, are in prison for nonviolent drug-related offenses. But I think what gets lost in the statistic is the impact that female incarceration has on children. So, in fact, there are 6,200 children today that have a mother that is in Department of Corrections. And did you know that there were over 11,000 children in Tulsa County who were affected by the fact that their mother was booked into jail within the last year? And so when you look at women in the criminal justice system, 85% of them are mothers to approximately 2.5 or 2 to 3 children, okay? And so in some level, the criminal justice is really playing havoc and is very, very devastating to both generations of children as well as families. So what do I see? What do I see in my work every day? I see addiction, I see abuse, I see poverty. These are all factors that come into play with every participant that we have seen in our program. What do? We help conquer their drug addictions, we help them recover from trauma, we help them acquire some economic and emotional tools so that they can be successful and productive community members in our city. So we work very, very closely with the criminal justice system. And as I mentioned earlier, we work very, very closely with multiple partners throughout our community. We cannot do our work alone. We've been in this situation for many, many years, and many organizations, agencies, and volunteers assist us in our work. Because there's a lot to do with substance abuse. There's a lot to do with trauma. There is a lot of work to do around co-occurring mental health conditions. But we also specialize on children. So we want to provide, additionally, key services for both children as well as the caregivers who are taking care of those kids. We also help women get the essential skills that they need to complete their education in some situations, but we also want them to be really prepared to enter the workforce. And let me just tell you, they are incredibly motivated and well-prepared employees. They want to be economically self-sufficient, and you don't hear it a lot unless you're at WIR. They want to be tax-paying citizens. So on the average of 18 months that we have the honor and the pleasure of these life-changing opportunities, we also do a lot of work in the court system so that we can advocate and support women from exiting the criminal justice system. So, the Bedlam, Tulsa, Oklahoma City. So while Oklahoma continues to have the highest rate of incarceration, just up the street in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma County continues to increase their numbers of women who are going to prison. But Tulsa County has a very, very different story, because we refuse to continue to go down that path of mass incarceration. So Tulsa County, unlike any other county in the state of Oklahoma, has reduced the number of women being sent to prison by 24% in the last fiscal year, according to them. And I thank you. So this is a result of many things. It's a result of many, many people working together. I always commend the criminal justice system. My hats are always off to the district criminal judges that we work very closely with, because they understand now that treatment is a better option, and let's try it. It doesn't work for all of them, but they give them the opportunity with high, high levels of accountability. I also want to applaud the business partners. Some of you are in this room. Partners who have opened their door to provide women second chance opportunities. They need living wage jobs. They are motivated and they want to work, and we hope that you continue so that we continue to see these doors open within the business community. I'm grateful to the health providers. If one's been in their addiction for 13, 14 years, your health has been compromised, and I am grateful to our health providers. I'm particularly grateful to our housing providers and our partners, as I mentioned earlier. Where you put your head at night is really critically important. So we should all feel really inspired. Thank you for the applause. We should all take kind of ownership and responsibility that this community is really changing and reducing these numbers for female incarceration. But I also want you to take note of two other reasons why I think you should care, and Mandy also brought it up beautifully. And that is, it's not financially or fiscally responsible to do this. Like she said, 1 year in Women in Recovery is close to what it costs to put a woman in the Department of Corrections. And I guarantee you, any woman who comes into our program is not being sentenced for 1 year, okay? Secondly, I'm gonna venture a guess, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna venture a guess that everybody in this room knows somebody who has struggled with alcohol or drug addiction. But perhaps they're fortunate enough that they haven't gotten entangled in the criminal justice system. And I'm going to make one other assumption. I'm going to make the assumption that not everybody understands, though I know there's a psychiatrist in here who clearly does, who understands this complex brain disease. The brain can change, and it can recover with the right interventions. It does, and it can. And so I hope today's conversation will provide insight, provide a little bit of knowledge, and that in the future, maybe, other Jennifers might not be judged by their past and by the worst thing that they have ever done. So we don't really know the end of Jennifer's story, do we? It's not over for her, fortunately, but I can guarantee you that it has been well enhanced as a result of her experience with us. So she does have her children back. She is gainfully employed. She is receiving ongoing psychiatric services from Family and Children's, but her story continues. So if there are any kind of data geeks, how do I do this? He said, just press this button. Oh, okay. Whoops. I got a little carried away. There we go. Placeholder. Wrong. Wrong. Oh, I'd love to hear the band again. I love a good piccolo. Okay, so I'm pretty loud, so I'm just going to say that that top line right there indicates that we incarcerate in Oklahoma 151 to 100,000 per capita. The national average, as you can see, is 64. Okay, so we have it's amazing, isn't it? I think it's helpful to see it kind of in print as well. So I mentioned the 24% decrease that we had over the last year, but since we started this program and the work that we have done, it's not just limited to the work that we do within our program, it's how can we make systemic changes within the system, and I think that's equally powerful to the work that we do. So over the course of time since we have started and how we work very, very differently within the community, we've seen a 41% decrease. So that is a snapshot, really, those little bubbles. It's a snapshot to just really demonstrate what we do at WEIR. It's around treatment, it's around employment, it's around education, health services, wellness services. We have a very, very robust continuing care program, an aftercare program, which is critical because addiction is a lifetime disease. We certainly take note of our public policy and our public safety, and our accountability to the criminal justice system, our work with children, and we also volunteer in the community because when you're in recovery, it's really important to give back to those like you who are helping them. So if you're curious as to numbers, actually our recidivism rate is a little bit higher than what maybe what Mandy's stats were. It changes very regularly, but we stay low. We are at 5.6% recidivism rate compared to, let me do a little comparison for you. The average of women in Department of Corrections, their recidivism rate is 13. But I want to just denote something. If you compare high-risk women, the women that we are serving and women in recovery, the recidivism rate is actually 21%. So it's even better than kind of what meets the eye. So women come into the program looking very forlorn and not often presentable, but the way they complete the program is very, very different than how they enter the program. So with that, and getting back to the story part, I now have the great pleasure and the honor of introducing you to Casey, because Casey has found the courage to share her own story. So she continues to make changes now instead of excuses. She is incredibly motivated. She works to excel in all facets of her life. She trusts herself, and what's even more interesting is that now others trust her. She's found the very best version of who she is. Her good character shines and inspires us, as you will hear her personal story around addiction, abuse, transition and recovery, and transformation. And instead of judging Casey by her past, you're listening to her story is also going to continue to help her heal in the hopes of positively influencing somebody else's life. And I do hope that when you hear her story, somebody in this room will be positively impacted. Thank you. Casey?
Hello, my name is Casey, and I'm a mother of 5 children. Growing up, I was rejected by family members. I had an estranged relationship with my father, and I was a victim of domestic violence. I spent 12 years lost in addiction. It robbed me of everything I had. I lost the ability to be a friend, a sister, a daughter, and most of all, a mother. It robbed me of my hopes and dreams. I was beaten, bruised, and broken. The abuse I suffered for so many years made me to believe that I would never pull myself out of the hole that I eventually sunk into. As a mother, I cannot believe what I let my children witness. I despised caking on the makeup every day to cover the bruises, to avoid explaining it to them. I didn't have to explain it. They saw it. I became so angry. I started to care about no one but myself. I thought I was taking back my life after the abusive relationship, but I was wrong. I had the nerve to call myself supermom, trying to take care of 5 children on my own, when in reality, I was an emotionless shell who couldn't even tend to their basic needs. Sorry. Each day I woke up and wanted it all to end, hoping that maybe this shot of drugs would be my last. I was so selfish. I kept telling myself I had lost everything anyways. What did it matter? My friends and family watched drugs turn me into a person that they didn't even know. I lost all the light inside me, so I chose the streets. The streets killed my joy and happiness that I had left. It stole my soul. I had left a trail of broken hearts and devastation behind me because I was too numb and self-centered to notice. I have made a lot of poor choices due to my addiction. As a result of those choices, I was arrested for drug trafficking. I had prepared myself to go away for a long time. I was looking at 20 to life in prison. By the time I would have got out of prison, my children would have been grown. Before I pled into Women in Recovery, my judge told me I belonged in prison for what I did, and that I didn't deserve the stability that a program had to offer. That was the spark that started my fire. I said, oh yeah? Watch this. It's so hard to put into words what my Women in Recovery experience was like. I walked into Women in Recovery completely hopeless, thinking I could never get my life back. I had no idea who I was or how quickly I destroyed all of my potential. I thought I would always be a strung-out junkie. I was broken. The staff at Women in Recovery fought for me when they didn't even know me, and my army of sisters within the program loved me until I could love myself. The 14 months I spent within the program kicked my butt. I had to face a lot of fears within this program. I was asked to write a paper from my children's point of view, and oh, that hurt. I asked my children to help me with it. My daughter said, but Mama, I'm gonna make you cry. I said, it's okay, honey, because you're talking about a person I used to be. The first line of each of their papers were, I hate you for the person that you used to be. I was one of the lucky ones. Within the program, I had a sister who was clean, working, and supportive. My children didn't have to go into state's custody. They were in a good, safe environment. I wanted to do everything in my power to mend their hearts. I worked with so many program partners to improve my parenting skills. I wanted to learn to be the best, effective, have discipline for them, and reclaiming the role as a mother. Before I started each new curriculum, I thought I was a good mom. There I go again, good intentions, but failed knowledge. I can't speak today, I'm sorry. Throughout every program, I learned so much about myself and my children. I spend quality time with each of them and provide them with a safe place to share their feelings and needs. I remind them that each day that all feelings are okay, but all behaviors are not. I've replaced a mind in my children's pain today with laughters and smiles, because nothing beats hearing, I love you, Mama. Within the program, I was able to obtain the skills from the employment classes I needed to go back into the world as a full functioning member of society. I went into my first interview sober after so many years. The tips and the direction I was provided gave me the ability to go into an interview with both confidence and knowledge. Thanks to the Eastern Oklahoma donated dental services, I'm able to smile with confidence. I started at the Hyatt Regency Tulsa, April 4th, 2015. Due to my hard work and committed work ethic, I received a promotion within the first 30 days. Within my first year of employment, I won many awards, including the Tops of Tulsa, the Best Front Desk Agent in Tulsa, the Stars of the Industry, the Best Front Desk Agent in the state of Oklahoma, and Employee of the Year. Today, I can say I fought my way from the bottom up. I'm now a front desk supervisor. Today, I have 3 years clean. I have 5 children back at home with me. The smallest things that I took for granted, I earned them back. Every day when I wake up, I lace up my bootstraps and go to fight and battle against my addiction. Today, I'm a different person, a more complete person and a stronger person. I stand before you today and say I'm proud that I made it. I have succeeded in becoming the woman I was always meant to be. It's one thing to go into women in recovery. It's another thing to graduate and change your life. I survived, which was intended to kill me. Today, I'm no longer a victim. I am a survivor.
Thank you, Mimi and Casey, for reminding us that we are all works in progress and that change is indeed possible. A book recognizing today's program will be presented to our partner in education school, Celia Clinton, and the book is Secrets I Know. Ask Mimi and Casey to look this up.
Secrets make you sick.
Good point. At this time, it's my pleasure to welcome to the side mic Board Chair Kathy Gorell, who has a Chilean flag presentation to the club. Kathy.
Hello. We had the privilege of attending a dinner a week or so ago with a group of Chileans who were on their way to Atlanta to the International Convention. So this flag is from the Rotary Club San Joaquin, La Serena, and the couple we got to know fairly closely were Jose and Rosanna Toledo, and they were just delightful people. And I just wanted to try and interpret their club motto, but if I'm doing this correctly, they're a group of individuals that are dedicated to helping individual needs of their members and also collectively to serve all of mankind, humanity. So I'd like to present this flag to the club.
Thank you. Now let's greet our Sergeant at Arms, Catherine DeCamp, whom I've dubbed Catherine the Great. I know she's enjoying this brief reprieve from President John. Did I say that out loud? Oh. Catherine.
You know, Hannibal, that is so sweet that you said that because, you know, President John can't even remember my name, you know, about half the time. So I want to start out by saying, just to throw a plug towards Women in Recovery, I have been a mentor for Women in Recovery for almost 2 years, and also Dana Burks has been a mentor for a lot longer than I have. So please, if that's something that interests you, please talk to us because it's a very rewarding experience. More so probably for me than for the person who I have been had as a mentee. So it's a great program, and I encourage you to, you know, talk to one of us, Dana or myself. Now, next, while I'm doing my little Sergeant at Arms gig, somebody dropped their tickets today, and Miss Lou Ann Bulinger found them. And so everybody check and see if you have your tickets. Does everybody have their tickets? Hey, Lou had them up, so, okay, well. Oh, they're Miguel's. Sorry. Okay, now, we'll watch your numbers. Okay, so I need a clicker. Here. Oh. We had that all planned out like that, so. Okay, so let's start out with Lynette Potter. She and her hubby just celebrated 25 years on June the 12th. And I'm going to tell you right now, the first time I met them as a couple, I thought, oh, they've just been married a few years. They are just the cutest couple ever. So happy anniversary, and thank you for your fine. And for all of you visitors, I didn't start out this way, and I should have, to let you know that what a Sergeant at Arms fine is really a donation that's paid to our Rotary Foundation. So I'm not really fining them, they're paying me a donation, and so I don't want you to think I'm mean, because I get that a lot lately, so. Oh, see, I'm telling you. No, I'm not mean. All right, and then Dave Moore. Dave, where are you? I'm going to have to start implementing that rule again where you have to stand up if I say your name. Dave, his daughter married, so Trent and Laura got married after dating for 8 years. So he said he was giving $100 for the wedding and $8 for the time that it took them to decide they were going to get married. So thank you, Dave, for that generous donation. And Terry Carell, I know where she sits. There she is. There she is. Thank you, Terry. She donated $50 for the Tulsa Zoo Lost Kingdom ribbon cutting. So I haven't been out there yet. I'm kind of thinking about calling Terry and saying, Terry, I have some Rotary business to discuss with you, so I'm going to come on out to the zoo. And so, dream job. Okay, thank you so much, Terry, for that donation. That's amazing. I can't wait. Can't wait to get out there. Now, I know that you all have been told that our president and our incoming president are out representing us at the convention or at the conference, and this is what we're getting. This is how they're representing us. So make sure that when they get back that you let them know that you saw, how they were representing the Rotary Club of Tulsa at the conference. So those goobers. All right, and just a reminder, we've got 2 weeks left for you to donate under Sarge Catherine's watch. And then, so if you have a birthday, go make somebody get married. Go do something. Give me a reason. Give me a reason for you to give me money, okay? You've got 2 weeks left, and then it's over. That baton goes on over. So how do you contact me? This is how you contact me. So write that down. Call me. Call anyone. Call somebody else, and they'll tell you how to call me, okay? So now we're going to do 50-50. We're just like wrapping this all up into one big Catherine party. So here we go. Miguel, I got your tickets. All right, so we're going to let our lovely guest do the lucky drawing. Oh, okay. Everybody wants you to pick their ticket, though. Okay, now, I have to tell you that the IBA team is pretty awesome, because this is what I got a message from Lou today. She said, you know what? Whoever has their ticket drawn is going to win a t-shirt and a hoodie from the Hard Rock. How awesome is that? So whoever owns this gets that, and they still get to draw. But also, if somebody right now, we have only a very few tickets left to IBA. Anybody who raises their hand to buy 2 tickets right now gets this lovely set of rustic cuffs. So you've got 10 seconds. Anybody want to buy 2 tickets to IBA? Is everybody bought out? What? Oh, IBA. Everybody knows IBA, right? Okay. This is what I'll do, because I know you all need to think about it. You need to ask your dates and things like that. If you call Luann, whoever contacts her by 5 o'clock today, this set's yours. So, on with the drawing. The winning ticket number today is 1756375. Let me check Miguel's here. Sorry, Miguel. Sorry. No luck. Okay, so I'm going to say these again. 1756375. You guys, come on, somebody's got to have it. All right. Who? Oh. Okay, Miguel does not get to play next week if he doesn't draw this card. You are really a problem child today. It's 1756375. Were you? He was probably over there Snapchatting or something while I've got this gig to do. I'm on it. I've got a time limit, okay? This is why they say I'm mean. This is where it all comes out, isn't it? All right, here we go. Lucky, lucky, buena suertes.
Muchas gracias.
But he's a king to all of us, isn't he? Thank you. Yeah, oh yeah, you get the goods. He's gonna look sweet next week. There you go. Thank you, everybody, so much.
Our upcoming programs include the following: June 21st, Dino Lally, Discover Oklahoma. June 28th, Roast of President John. That should be interesting. July the 5th, the inauguration of the 2017-2018 President, Mike Homan. Go in peace.